The Super Bowl was over. The confetti had fallen. But while the world celebrated the Eagles' victory, Travis Kelce did something no one expected. In the face of heartbreak, when most players stormed off in frustration, he walked straight toward the rival team. And what he did next left even the Eagles in shock. Was this a moment of true sportsmanship? Or something much deeper? Stay till the end, because this story will change how you see Travis Kelce forever. The stadium was still echoing with the deafening cheers of Eagles fans. Confetti rained down in slow motion, shimmering under the bright floodlights. It was supposed to be a moment of celebration, but for Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs, it was the bitter taste of defeat. The final whistle had blown. The Super Bowl dream had slipped through their fingers. Travis stood near the sideline, helmet in one hand, gloves clutched tightly in the other. His heartbeat pounded in his ears, drowning out the noise. His jersey was damp with sweat, his muscles aching from the brutal battle they had just fought. He had given everything. They all had. And yet, it wasn't enough. His gaze traveled across the field to where the Eagles players were celebrating, jumping into each other's arms, grinning ear to ear. He recognized the look in their eyes. It was the same joy he had felt when they won the Super Bowl, the same high that made all the pain and sacrifice worth it. But tonight, he wasn't on that side. He was on the losing end, and it hurt like hell. The Chiefs' sideline was eerily quiet. Patrick Mahomes was staring at the ground, his hands on his hips, lips pressed into a tight line. Chris Jones sat on the bench, elbows on his knees, staring into the distance. Some players were shaking hands with Eagles players. Others had already begun the slow walk back to the locker room. The sting of defeat settled into every corner of the team. Travis exhaled sharply, shaking his head. He felt the frustration bubbling inside him, the kind that makes a man want to scream into the sky, punch a locker, or just disappear for a while. But instead, something else caught his eye. A young Eagles player, wide receiver Devin Carter, was standing at the edge of the celebration, his helmet still on, his expression unreadable. Something about that look hit Travis. He had seen it before. Hell, he had felt it before. Years ago, when he had won his first Super Bowl, there had been a moment, a quiet, private moment, when he had stepped back from the chaos of celebration and just taken it all in. The overwhelming emotions, the realization of a lifelong dream, the weight of expectations suddenly shifting. Success could be just as terrifying as failure. And right now, that kid was feeling it. Without thinking, Travis started walking. Not toward the locker room, but straight across the field, toward the Eagles. At first, nobody noticed. But then, cameras followed. Reporters whispered. Fans in the stands leaned forward, curious. Was he about to confront someone? Was there unfinished business between the rivals? The air tensed as Travis stepped into the sea of green jerseys. Devin Carter looked up just as Travis reached him. The kid was young, maybe too young to process what he had just achieved. His hands trembled slightly as he pulled off his helmet, revealing wide, uncertain eyes. Before he could speak, Travis patted him firmly on the shoulder. Devin blinked, caught off guard. He had expected nothing from the Chiefs, maybe a nod of acknowledgement, maybe silence, but not this. Travis turned, moving through the crowd of Eagles players, shaking hands, offering words of respect. Hell of a game, he told one. Y'all played your hearts out, he said to another. Some Eagles players responded with equal respect. Others just nodded, still surprised by the gesture. By the time Travis made his way back to the Chiefs' sideline, the atmosphere had shifted. The pain of the loss was still there, still heavy. But now there was something else. perspective. As he stepped into the locker room, the silence was suffocating. Helmets lay discarded on the floor. Cleats scraped against the tile as players moved in slow, exhausted motions. No one was talking. No one wanted to. Travis dropped onto a bench, running a hand through his sweat-soaked hair. Then, he reached into his bag and pulled out something small, a folded note, creased from years of being carried around. It was handwritten, the ink slightly faded, but the words still clear. It was from Tom Brady, a note he had given Travis years ago, after the Chiefs lost to the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. "Respect lasts longer than rings. Use this to fuel the next one." Travis had never forgotten those words, and now it was his turn. He looked up at Mahomes, at Jones, at every teammate who sat in that room, shoulders heavy, heads low. He held up the note. "This ain't the end," he said, his voice firm, cutting through the silence. "We take this, we learn from it, and we come back stronger. Dynasties don't end on one bad night. We ain't done." Slowly, heads lifted. The weight in the room didn't vanish, but something shifted. Determination replaced despair. The fire wasn't out. It was just waiting to burn again. The next morning, clips of Travis Kelce's post-game moment with the Eagles surfaced online. It spread like wildfire. This is what makes Travis Kelce a legend. True sportsmanship. Rivalry doesn't mean hate. Champions are made in how they handle loss. Even retired NFL greats like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady reposted it, praising Kelce's class. But the biggest moment came when Devin Carter spoke up in an interview later. "That meant everything to me. I was overwhelmed, and Travis saw it. That's what real leadership looks like." Travis never responded to the media frenzy. He didn't need to. Actions spoke louder than words, and his actions had already written a story people would remember. A few days later, as Travis sat at home watching the highlights, his phone buzzed with a text message. It was from a young player, an undrafted rookie who had been called up for the Super Bowl roster but hadn't played a single snap. "You don't know me well, but I just wanted to say thank you. Seeing you handle that loss with such grace gave me hope. I want to play like you one day, not just on the field, but off of it." Travis smiled, shaking his head. Football was about more than touchdowns and trophies. It was about moments like these. Some moments define a season. Others define a legacy. And in that Super Bowl loss, Travis Kelce proved why he was more than just a great player. He was a true champion. If this story inspired you, hit the like button and drop a comment saying, "Travis Kelce is a true champion." Let's spread more kindness in the world, one story at a time.